Your search stops right here. Join Mukonke Mukonke from Inside Partners Africa every Tuesday at 7:20 hours on the Dalama Business Business Show, a program that gives you the best and most practical, actionable insights. It is a good morning and welcome to another edition of the Dalama Insights on Radio 4. Of course, I'm Leslie, and joining me once again is our regular guest, our finance expert, Mukonke Mukonke. Good morning, Mukonke. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Leslie. How have you been?
Very, very well, thanks. And how
I've
are you?
missed you.
Oh, we're here. Finally. Apparently, I've been missing in action for the past few weeks, but yeah, it comes with the territory.
Welcome back, and good morning, dear listeners.
Right. Now, today we're talking about something quite interesting. Topic is village banking, and the question is: should your village banking group invest in GRZ bonds? Been receiving a lot of inquiries from listeners who are part of village banking groups, and they're considering pooling their finances to invest in government bonds. Now, Mokonki, your initial thoughts on the idea?
Thank you, Leslie. So, before I give you my initial thoughts, I think it's important for us to understand the village banking structure itself. And I must say, I've worked with quite a number of village banking groups, Leslie, as a consultant through a development organization. I think I did some work in 2020 and 2019. We traveled to Choma, to Chipata, and Solwezi. And they're fantastic village banking groups out there. You can't believe it. People are so organized. And so my experience and what I want to share today really goes to the grassroots. I know there are middle class people that are also forming fantastic village banking groups where they're saving huge amounts of money. It's unbelievable. So I would like to talk about this topic because I keep getting inquiries from these groupings in terms of, can we also buy bonds using our savings from the village banking group? So, first of all, let's understand the structure of the village banking group. The first thing we need to know is that village banking groups are designed, in fact, they started from the grassroots, the villages or rural areas, and they are formed in a community. Members come from the community, and their main aim is to save money for a particular purpose. So the purposes that I've had an engagement with are, for instance, to buy stock for their groceries, so to buy or stock up for their shops, their small groceries. So one purpose could be, let's save money, share it out, and then buy stocks for our groceries so that our groceries can grow. So that was my engagement with these village banking groups that I was participating in as a financial consultant to help them with financial literacy. Then other purposes could be, let's form this village banking group so that we can share out the money and do whatever we want with it. Now, an interesting part which is developing is that village banking groups are now moving from merely saving money and investing in their small businesses or spending it for their household needs, but are now thinking of investing. And it's really, really interesting. So when I started receiving this question, it started making me think to say, wow, buying bonds with savings from village banking groups sounds like a very interesting concept. But then we should not lose the essence of the village banking group. These are supposed to be small groups which are informal, not regulated by Bank of Zambia. Unlike the financial institutions, they are saving money and benefiting from it, and also having access to credit. So they also share out or lend each other and charge a small amount of interest. So the village banking group has provided an opportunity for people to actually access finances at a low cost without collateral, compared if they had to go to a financial institution. And these are normally short term. Their objectives are normally short term, Leslie. So they may decide to say at the end of the year, in fact, it's every year that they do the share out or close out, and then they share out their savings and interest that they've made during a certain period. So even as we start talking about village banking groups investing in government bonds, we really need to understand the original structure of these village banking groups. But what's interesting to see is that now people are migrating towards, can we start investing as a group? Can we start buying property as a group using our savings from the village banking groups? So really, really interesting, Leslie.
No, it definitely is.
Mm.
No, they are advantages, isn't it? Like maybe we can look at some of the advantages to investment schemes where you do collective investment schemes for village banking groups, especially for people without access to traditional banking services?
Thank you, Leslie. So when I started really deeply reflecting on village banking groups and access to government bonds, which are, by the way, long-term investments. So whereas the village banking groups traditionally are focused on a one-year period or whatever period they've agreed in their community as a village banking group, and then share out after that period, government bonds are long-term investments. However, there are advantages. If ever this banking group ever decided to say, we would want to buy bonds, and in their constitution, they decide to perhaps focus on a different goal, maybe buy property or invest in government bonds as we're discussing today. Something that is interesting is that for those individuals who are in deep rural areas, cannot access banking facilities. So I cannot open a bank account, or I'm not even literate enough to be confident to walk into a bank and open a bank account. Those can benefit from a collective investment scheme that then buys government bonds. And also, there are those that cannot access the investor portal. So I cannot buy bonds on my own. I can't even operate the computer I'm going to, not even the phone. Or a tip-in. What is a tip-in certificate? I'm in the village. I don't even understand what that taxpayer identification number is. And you want me to have a certificate to enjoy bonds? So particularly for such types of individuals, a collective investment scheme. In fact, when we are talking about buying bonds, even village banking groups, Leslie, they're actually a collective scheme. So if they wanted to invest in bonds, then we can actually refer to them as a collective investment scheme. And so if there's somebody who's literate enough or confident enough to create a structure where all these people are organized well in their group, they pool their resources and then they open a bank account and then they start buying bonds as a group, the benefit really extends to the entire group, because that offers an opportunity for the group to enjoy coupon incomes at whatever tenure, coupon rates, the tenure that they've selected, which is something that they may not have been able to enjoy had they just focused on their own individual weaknesses. I am not literate enough. I don't have a tip-in. I don't have an investor portal. I can't access the investor portal, maybe because of even the internet issues. So as a collective scheme through the village banking group, they can start enjoying coupon incomes. They can also benefit from, I know village banking groups also have what they call emergency funds that they can utilize for any issues that they're facing in their community, maybe funerals, medical expenses. They normally tap from these savings to finance that. So they've got separate funds. So they can also consider investing, building their emergency fund through coupon incomes by investing in the government bonds. So for me, the deep rural individuals or persons that are forming village banking groups, the benefits are immense, Leslie. And I'm actually excited about this. Having thought about it, I'm like, wow, can you imagine the possibility of these people accessing, coupon incomes through collective investment schemes through their village banking group? So that's one area. We can also talk about guys like you, Leslie, who are in town, who are pulling huge resources. What are the benefits for you? What would you think? Are you part of a village banking group, Leslie?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So let me focus on the middle class village banking groups that are also performing really, really well. I was thinking, so for those in town, I can easily create an investor. I can create a CSD account for myself. I've got a tip-in. I can buy bonds on myself. What would be the benefit of me pooling resources through a village banking groups for us to invest in bonds? So having thought about it, I realized that even for middle class people in town that are forming these groups, a benefit could be the access to huge amounts of money that you may not have as an individual. And also, if you've got a goal that is long-term, perhaps to start construction, maybe as a group, you may decide, let's buy bonds so that we can start constructing maybe flats for rent, and then we can start enjoying even the rental income, because the return you're going to make from investing in a government bond is definitely higher than other investments like fixed deposits and other investments. So as a group, if you can consider to say we've got a fixed goal, perhaps build flats, maybe buy a piece of land, and then you can select a tenure, buy the bond. The coupon incomes are going to enable you to achieve that big goal as a group. And then ultimately, you're going to start enjoying the rental income from that investment. So for me, even for those in urban areas, that is one way we can start tapping into the power of investing in government bonds. And so these are my initial thoughts around what the benefits that village banking groups can have.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, while collective investment schemes can offer all these things, but let's discuss, some potential challenges, because I know this is the good stuff we looked at, but what are the considerations that, village banking groups should keep in mind when they're exploring these investment opportunities?
Thanks, Leslie. So we need to consider the regulatory aspect as well, because village banking groups are very simple, informal groupings created initially for savings, okay, and then sharing out interests that's saved in a group. So they're really informal, not regulated by Bank of Zambia. So if we are going to start moving towards, complicated investment schemes like unit trust, because in essence, this is like forming a unit trust or a collective investment scheme, then we will need to be regulated somehow. Products that have to do with unit trust investments are regulated by the Securities Exchange Commission. So we may need to formalize our grouping, perhaps into a cooperative, and then follow the rules laid out. We may also need to consider, rather than investing the money ourselves as a village banking group, perhaps seek out products that are already on the market, unit trusts that are already on the market, or find a fund manager that can help us set up our fund, because the fund manager is already regulated by the SEC. So as exciting as it is, there's still a lot of homework to be done. And also just the financial literacy education for the members in this village banking group. Because I think, yes, while we could be excited about the potential returns we might get, do the members actually understand this kind of investment that we're venturing into? So we will need to spend a lot of time educating the members so that everybody is comfortable and understands the risks are there. For example, I'll give a risk of, yes, we may buy the bonds. The bonds will be secured with BOZ, but every quarter we are getting the coupon incomes. Where are they sitting? If I go back to the village, the actual rural area setup of a village banking group, we use boxes for our savings. We don't even bank our savings at the bank most of the times. So even when we get the coupon income, where would it be? How secure is it? Do we really, do we trust the treasurer not to run away with the coupon incomes or misuse it? And so there's quite a lot of questions that need to be answered. But for me, I think the most important one is the regulatory aspect. If we ever had to move towards investing as a collective scheme, we are now moving away from the original goal of our or intended objective of the savings group. And perhaps BOZ might now be interested, or even the SEC, into what we are doing, because we don't want to start creating products that are illegal on the market. So we'll have to check with the SEC whether our product falls under, a real village banking, or it's now moving away to investment products that are regulated, in which case we may need to consider finding a fund manager who's already supervised by the BOZ that we can work with to invest our money in whatever, buy bonds or whatever idea that we have, because they are regulated. So initially, these are the thoughts, Leslie. I'm really excited about the fact that village banking groups are now moving from merely saving money and spending it on small investments, but are now considering big investments like buying bonds and buying property as groupings or collective investment schemes. So, which is really, really interesting.
So the advice would be, like, if you're a village banking group, you sort of have a professional. You go to a professional. You go either to a fund manager, you go to a you actually use a professional, someone who actually does these investigations on a regular basis. Instead of you trying to do it yourself, where you register it, Bank of Zambia, you do the account. It's better you go as a village banking unit, and you take it to someone who actually does this and they do it for you.
Exactly, because we already have collective investment schemes. They are called unit trusts. And so if we are going to start migrating from our traditional saving and just spending money however we wanted traditionally as a village banking group, and now going into complex investment vehicles like bonds and property, then we would need to start tapping into already existing fund managers that are responsible for these and are already structured. Yes, they are already structured. So our role is just to ensure we secure the money, give it to the fund manager, agree the goal, and start meeting with them and seeing how we are performing. For me, initially, these are my thoughts. Perhaps in a few years' time, this could change because the structure of the village banking group, if they're going to start tapping into investment products like buying bonds as a collective, has to definitely will change. I think even the regulators like the Securities Exchange would be interested to see what you're doing, because at the end of the day, we want to secure everyone's interest, every member's interest, and because this is an informal sector, if we're going to start moving into structures like bonds, we'll need some kind of formality. But having said that, I mean, it's also just thinking about this also ensures financial inclusion, Leslie, for our colleagues in the rural areas that have never known even about bonds. Just the idea of it enables them to be start thinking about being included in such fantastic products. Ultimately, they can also be included in the formal financial sector through just a collective, but eventually they will start understanding finances and maybe even start opening their own personal bank accounts and perhaps even start investing on their own. So it's a really nice thing that I think I'm going to spend quite a lot of time on going forward.
Yeah, looks like it's the way to go as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, Mukonki, unfortunately, we come to the end of the show, but thank you very much for those perspectives. It's clear that these investment schemes in GRZ bonds can actually offer promising opportunities for village banking groups.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll be back next week once again, and we definitely do need to talk more about this village banking at some point. Not in terms of bonds, but just village banking.
Yes.
It's quite interesting when you look at it. You would think people don't make money off it, but they actually do quite well.
I've seen huge amounts that people have collected through their village banking group. So it's fantastic. Good morning to Kayombo, Kapenda, and others that joined us online. Thank you so much, and have a good morning.
You have been listening to Ndalama Insights Business Show, brought to you by Insight Advert Africa. If you missed anything, visit www